Hi folks, welcome to another Champions of Westeros final. So we are going to watch the final of the summer 2022 edition between Radek Z and Lukas Abels-Vehns, two of the best players in the world. And joining me on commentary today are Nico and Hannes. Hi guys.
Hey, hey.
Hi, Miha. Thanks for inviting us and thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, always a pleasure. So how do you see this one going?
That's a tough one, right, Nico? So we should all make a prediction, so just for funsies. And my personal feeling is I have a slight bias Team Germany-wise for Lukas, of course, but I think Radek has such a strong, track record in the last Champions of Westeros. He's undefeated until this final. So I think it's Radek's game to take. But of course, they have both very many different deck options, and it always depends on the matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. Two fantastic players, super consistent, super strong. Very few mistakes, if any. Playing against Radek, I think I played him in tournament games maybe 10 times. And just this weekend, I actually got my first win. I still don't know how, but his win rate against me is still like 90 or over 90%, I think.
Yeah,
And
9 in 10.
yeah,
Showing that on screen.
yeah. So he's really, really good. Lucas is also really, really good. We play quite a bit outside of tournament plays, and he's a great guy. Radek also, both really great guys as well. Yeah, and with Radek, especially in Champions of Westeros, it's really hard because he has like 4 or 5 decks that are really like top tier, and they're really different. And so you don't know what to prepare for. You basically have to just pick whatever deck you want to play and then hope that whatever he picks is a good matchup for you. Because there's no really way of game planning against him in that way. There's so very, start Fealty, Lenny Kraken, now Night's Watch, Prince. I think he has a Tark deck that is also really good. So really, really tough opponent.
Yeah, I think this particular event where you can change decks each week is suits him perfectly because he plays a lot of the strong decks and is very tough to predict. As you can see, Hannes and I actually are his most frequent opponents, and he has a pretty good record against both of us. Actually, a positive record against almost all the top players here. And he's played Lukas 14 times before tonight and won 8, lost 6. So this one I think could be really close. I also think that I think we'll have a good idea of how this is going to go when we see the decks, because Lukas also is not really a faction loyalist, so I think they will both try to pick something they'll both try to guess what the opponent might play and pick something that gives them a good matchup. So we'll see who has succeeded. I'm guessing maybe Lukas plays some Stark Fealty or something like that, and Radek, who knows, something weird maybe today.
So I have an inside lane with Lucas, and we talked briefly earlier, and it sounded like he was probably gonna play Night's Watch because it's a really good, really, really strong deck, and he has been playing quite a bit recently. So he's well, he's just has it down really well. So maybe he changed his mind, but it sounded like he was gonna go that way.
Yeah, and the Night's Watch is really strong at the moment, so it will take something special to beat it. But also Radek might play the same deck, we'll see.
Yeah, so when I look at Radek's opponent statistics, as you mentioned, Mia, you and me, we are his most favorite victims. But I feel he only has a weakness against French players, apparently. That's also kind of it right now. I wonder why.
I think if you check Alex's profile, probably it will look something similar. A win rate of 65% against all the top players or something like that. So what do we have here? We have Greyjoy Fealty, but this tells us nothing just yet. We'll have to wait for the setup. I know that I think the King of Swiss game featured the Drown God deck that Thomas played. That was really strong, and maybe Radek has decided to go that way today. We'll know in a second.
I'm pretty sure I would really think it's his Fealty, like, Greyjoy Fealty bombs deck. He has a really, really good deck. But I think this is a pretty good matchup for Lukas, actually, because of Intimidate from Great Ranging, which is pretty annoying for Greyjoy. And Night's Watch has really good defense against Valar because of all the dupes that they can kind of grab. So we'll see.
And going for the Reigns of Castamere, not for Prince or Aloof and Apart. So opening with Late Summer Feast, which he will obviously try to flip out of, so that he doesn't give cards away. And for the Realm is interesting in Greyjoy. We're not going to see the 8-cost army, I don't think. So maybe Pike will be played, and that's a really annoying card. Has a huge tempo advantage when it's played.
Yeah, definitely Pike, I think, and Saturn will probably go to hand, or who knows what Lukas will play in marshalling. Yeah, so Pike is a problem for Lukas for sure.
Yeah, if there is a strong intrigue icon, I think it could be returned to hand, unless it's of course great ranging. And with 11 gold, it could be great ranging immediately, so he goes for the search. And you can find 2 copies of Great Ranging with this, so it can immediately be duped, because it has 2 traits, Ranger and Steward.
That's a costly but really amazing event. But, I will go out on a limb and I will say Radek does not play his Greyjoy Fealty Bomb. He does not play Drowned God, obviously. I think he plays a Pillage deck.
Oh, okay. So we have Silence's Crew that has Pillage, of course, but that goes in the other deck as well because it's a strong body.
That would be really interesting indeed if this was a Pillage deck. Yeah, we saw at the beginning Radek wrote that he didn't expect Lukas to play this deck again. They both played in the German Nationals, which took place 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago. And Lukas played this deck, and apparently Radek was expecting him to play some other deck.
Like you called it, there goes Satin back to hand. Yeah, so that's the big play with Pike when it comes into play, and then it can only really get rid of the smaller stuff. It can get rid of negative attachments, which is really nice, but for anything bigger you would need either Silence or maybe Great Kraken still with cost 3 is decent enough. All the other locations would be cost 2 or less.
It would be enough for Saturn, at least, so Saturn can go back to hand quite a few times. So I think for Lukas it will be really important to find new big Castle Black, which would be the perfect counter against Pike.
And what do you do here? Do you try to defend to avoid the Reigns trigger? No?
No, but he can't, right? He only has 2 strength on defense because the Fleet Scout is blank due to assault, so he doesn't have that option really.
Ah, nice. Okay, so we have the stand. A nice pull here. So I guess he will now try to intimidate one of the other 2 to get all 3 challenges through.
Ooh, and
but
Yeah, he discards the big Victorian, which kind of settles it that I was wrong again. It's not a pillage deck, and it's a really an important discard from hand by Lukas, right?
Yeah, amazing character. Really strong. Lukas has to be careful. I wonder if he realizes it. Okay, Radek. Okay, interesting. I was expecting Radek to have a Bloody Cup, which is a really favorite card of his. I think he really likes it. But now he has only 1 gold left, so that danger is out of the picture.
And gets to our reserve with that insight. So this is a really tough deck to deal with. I think this Night's Watch, whatever agenda they play with great ranging in play, it's such a dominant body in the challenges. But the actual power gain, not that quick, currently at 2 power. So it's not threatening to just win quickly.
Right, and he doesn't have even a power icon on the board yet. So that is also something that sometimes you can just stay in the game against this if you can just get 1 power challenge through with a weak character that has not been nailed until Jeremy Riker hits the board.
Yeah, and if they find the wall, all of a sudden it can be over fairly quickly. So yeah, there's a chance to hang in there, but it's always like kind of dangerous.
And he got rid of the noble lineage, even though he has no power icons. Difficult to find characters in Night's Watch because of the no attachments, but there are some.
This is really, I think, mainly for John. And then as a backup for Bowen if the opponent plays Icon Steal or something. But John is obviously the main target for Noble Lineage here.
And this time
Okay.
Radek goes first. And Euron currently has a King's Road as a possible target. Yeah, really difficult to go second because the great ranging can just intimidate Euron, and there's currently no stand, so no value in going second. But he has not used Pike this turn, so he still has, of course it gives ambush to warships, so he could put Silence into play and return something to hand, and then Euron does get the stand.
Yeah, that would be really, really valuable for him because Saturn might just come back now this round again, and even with the 2-cost ship, you would be able to give him back up on the board. And then actually with the pillage, he might also discard him then. So then he's even more under threat.
I could also see him triggering Pike to get rid of Mullen and be able to push through a power challenge and get the King's Road.
Yep.
But of course, it really depends on what Lukas puts on the board here.
Yeah, and he has the Father, so if that triggers, I assume if it's a favorable position, he's not going to use Reigns this round. Of course, Euron there is unprotected, and he has the Malin, so he needs, I think, at least something smaller that's unique, so that the Father doesn't need to target great ranging. And lots of gold, so he's well over reserve and still has 2 Old Forest Hunters to trigger.
Ooh. Jeremy. Now it will be difficult for Radek to push something through, unless Silence comes out.
And what would that card be in shadows? Could it be Pinch or maybe the old Tattersalt?
I would expect Janus Slint. Which is a really nice card for Reigns to push through the Intrigue challenge with +5.
Yeah, and you called it. He prevents him from doing power challenge with you and Crowseye. And as I'm doing so many incorrect predictions, I say in shadows we have a shadow Littlefinger.
No, we don't have that.
Or Shadow Politics.
That is actually a card that is played. Shadow Littlefinger I've never even seen.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I have not seen it. Maybe that first week when it came out, but not recently. Shadow Politics, there was one interaction, I think with the big wall, where you try to clear the discard pile, so that only a good target remains. I've seen it used there. Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
it's
it is a Forest Patrol.
Forest Patrol.
So I was wrong. He actually mentioned that he put in some more Rangers in his deck recently, so that also makes a lot of sense. With Riker, Forest Patrol is a really nice card.
Okay, and gets rid of Satin, which means the Great Ranging is done for this round, can no longer stand. And now, presumably, a military challenge here, or just take dominance. Should be military. And then, of course, Euron goes back to hand with the father. No way to stop it, it seems.
Yeah, so the question is whether he will give take Maester Mullen back, which would seem cost-wise the most efficient strategy. But I'm wondering, it smells also of a reset maybe that Radek has to throw maybe, or that he would consider. And I wonder whether Lukas plays Outwit with Maesters here to protect his board presence. Then you would like to keep the Maester. Yeah, so he gives. I'd say he is set up to protect against the reset here.
It's
Maybe-
really Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe that's the first prediction that comes true today. I make so many predictions, something will become true just by accident.
I actually think, I mean, it's really dangerous. It's definitely tempting, but if you look at the board, the only really juicy thing you get rid of is Maester Mullen, and he's not, he's very good, but he's, no great ranging. And then you have one round where you basically cannot marshal anything. So I think it would be, I don't think he will use Valar here. It would be too dangerous and set him back too much. And Night's Watch can just come back with really strong characters.
Yeah, Sir Jeremy Riker escapes, of course, even if he doesn't have Outwit. I don't want him killed. Oh, okay, so what happens now? Whatever happens, the Fist of the First Man is gone, and on the other side, we have Nothing Burns resolved first, which makes sense. Keeping the economy. Couldn't afford to lose it because he only has 2 locations. So Pike is gone.
Lukas is looking strong here, right?
Yeah, definitely. And of course he does not need economy. That's an interesting interaction, political disaster. And then you still have the old forest hunters to serve as economy. because the great ranging draws so much with the insight that you are often over reserve. And he threw away the hob last round for reserve, didn't need extra draw.
True. I haven't thought about it. It's actually well built.
Yeah, I think we may be seeing the last of this deck in the current form, because the next restricted list is set to be announced, I think, in a week or so, and then I'm sure some Night's Watch cards will be hit a little bit to curb this deck.
I really hope so, honestly, because I don't know, in my experiences, it has gotten very ubiquitous, either with Reigns or more commonly with Aloof or Prince. So yeah, I think it would make sense to do something.
Yeah, this time Radek has to go first with that pike, and of course he gets rid of Mr. Malin. That goes to the deck, so can be replayed. But no.
Oh, but that was interesting. He had to discard pike with nothing burns, and then, I mean, of course, it's nice to have another trigger, but it's also pretty costly, right?
Yeah, it is, and he had one in hand, so I wonder if he had it previously as well, and just decided not to dupe him because he was not expecting a political disaster. That would be a pretty big miscalculation, or maybe he just drew one in the draw phase. Because he did have, of course, protection from Nothing Burns. He had that Iron Fleet Scout also in play. And Radek does nothing. I guess he thinks there will be too much power gain if he can't oppose some challenges.
So it looks like there's another Forest Patrol and Shadows. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for Lukas not to use Underground Vault.
Yeah. It seems like a bit of a miscalculation not to go second, actually, for Radek. Now he cannot do anything. He must have known that Jeremy would come back, so he couldn't win the power challenge. And as if he had gotten second, actually, he might have given Jeremy back with the pike. So I assume he just drew pike in the draw phase this round.
And Intrigue gets Euron this time. It got Victarion in round 1.
Wow. That's a
This is merciless.
Big hit. Yeah, I mean, Lukas must be. I mean, players on this level, I think, usually are not confident. They always feel like, they're losing or they're in a tough spot, and then once they won, they're happy. But yeah, he must be feeling pretty good right now. This is looking very well for him, I think.
Yeah, really dominating challenges, up to 7 now, still not that fast, so there is time to recover, but I can't see how, because the Great Ranging is so well protected. And Greyjoy Fealty is the one deck that definitely cannot play the Harris. Even Mad King's command would not help, so he goes for Morghulis against the gold, and I think the game will be decided pretty quickly if Lukas has a decent hand, and I'm sure he does.
Yeah, that's really one of the reasons why this deck type is so tough to beat. They kind of force your hand to use a reset, and then they can just come back with other really strong characters. And through, what's the 3-cost tutor event again, Hannes?
Fresh recruits.
Yeah, fresh recruits or Watch has needs. They have really strong access to dupes or, additional characters. Lukas doesn't even play the combo with Amon, like with Here to Serve to get Amon, which is another way to get a save against Valar Morghulis. Yeah, so it's really tough to reset them successfully, I think.
So interesting that he marshaled Maiden's Bane here. With Pike you of course have the ambush option, and it costs you one less to do that.
So probably has another warship in hand, maybe?
But he could just ambush both.
True. But maybe he wants to fake something. So maybe he wants him to know he has this option. I don't know.
Yeah, if there was nothing else to use the sea tower on, then I guess it makes no difference because that reduces the cost as well. Always
Yeah,
better
that's
to
true.
have a surprise. Well, there could be nightmares in hand, so having more than one, it could be stopped even if you are first player.
Happy to
Here
see
comes
that
Renault.
the spectators number has gone up a bit. It's a really high level game. Good to see some people watching.
Okay, and how do you defend against this? There is no claim, but there are tricks, of course, in Greyjoy. So yeah, Lukas not leaving anything to chance here, I think.
Yeah, Bloody Cup is definitely would be a great break for Radek, but Lukas is probably he's not having any of it.
And Pike is still standing. Was there a chance to trigger it? I don't think there was. There are no targets for Maiden's Bane. And now chance for another Reigns if there is something to be done. Okay.
Adding
Yeah.
insult to injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this deck, by the way, is I think based a little bit on a deck by Argento, I think, and then Lukas, made it his own and changed it quite a bit. But yeah, just a really strong deck. Like the answers that you can pull through Reigns it's really strong.
He got Asha this time. So Victarion, Asha and Euron for intrigue claim. Interesting to see Asha actually, because I know a lot of players choose Alanis now that they are podded. And more gold. 2 late summer feasts and 1 loan from the Iron Bank.
Yeah, from what he told me, that's one of the changes that he made. He just put in 3 big money plots, and I think it has paid off for him quite a few times already. Because he's just able to just swamp the board with really strong characters, even after resets. So it's been working out really well for him.
And that's basically the substitute he has to make if he does not play aloof. And it gives him the flexibility, as you mentioned earlier, with the answers he can pull from the range triggers. So if it works out, I think this deck type is more flexible than aloof. Aloof is probably, let's say, player friendlier, so it's easier to play. But with Lukas' skill and experience, it's probably more versatile to play it that way. So that looks really strong here.
Yeah, and you have lots of options now for Reigns, so can't really be sure what the last two plots are. Maybe could be the pointy end in there, or even the red wedding is an option for Night's Watch.
So I expect it to be pointy end and wildfire assault.
Actually, I don't think he has a wildfire
All right.
assault.
Okay.
I played this deck quite a bit, and yeah, I don't think I won a single game against it so far. And as far as I remember, it's not wildfire assault because the boards for this deck tend to be pretty broad, so pretty wide. So he would, in many games he would hurt himself as well. I guess you don't have to trigger it then, but it's a bit of a dead plot option that way. So I would
Makes
expect
sense.
something else. Maybe we actually, after the game, we can get him to talk about the match. I don't know if that makes sense, but he might be open to it.
Yeah.
Well, if not today, we definitely have to force him. Oh, it's over.
I wonder if he had that silence in hand that Lukas just called. I think that was maybe the final nail in the coffin there.
Yeah, I think even with silence, I mean, that's just oppressive. And now he has Bone. He draws like a million cards each round. It's just very well played. Good matchup, I think. Really good matchup for Lukas. And then, of course, great ranging early is always nice.
Yeah, and I think Fresh Recruits actually was the key card in round one because that found 2 copies of Great Ranging immediately. That really set things up nicely. Really great event. It wasn't played that often in the past, but now it's especially useful.
Yes. So congratulations to our new winner of Champions of Westeros summer season, Lukas Abels-Vehns, and also congratulations to Radek, which fulfills my day of wrong predictions. He did not make it, but really, really strong showing. He won every game until the final, thanks to both players. It was a little one-sided here, but overall, I think it was a good game, and it was a really, really great season. So from my side, just thanks to all the players for taking part, and we're looking forward also to a really fun autumn season.
Yeah, and thanks Hannes, of course, for organizing this. I see the numbers are up to 59 this season, so things are looking better than they were in certainly last year.
Indeed, fingers crossed for 60 next season.
Yeah, so when is the season starting? Do you know?
So we will take a 2-week break as usual, and then we will be back. So the announcement will go out next week that you can register again for the autumn season, and then we will be ready. And it will also, for many, hopefully, be a chance to test decks on the road to Stahleck.
Yeah, definitely, and we should announce that I think the registration for Stahleck closes this Saturday, so definitely if you haven't yet, you should hurry up and register for that event. It takes place in November.
And so we'll see both of you there, huh?
Yeah, that's the plan so far. See, nice. Hopefully nothing comes up.
I won't be able to make it, but it's really nice to know that all the strong players, or many of the really strong players, are going to be there. And I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic event.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I think it will be my first really big event in person, so it will be nice to meet some of the community that we've got to know online during the pandemic. Yeah, and so one last thing before we go. So before Stahleck, of course, we'll also have the Friendly Open Season 8 starting, so look for those announcements. Should be sometime in October anyway. And there is also playtesting for the next expansion, as high as Honor, and you can enter those events on the Friendly Open Discord server as well.
So, Miha, who won the last playtesting tournament?
I managed to win, but the card I had, the Torchen Square, was really, I think, overpowered and is getting nerfed, so I wouldn't read too much into that. Yeah. It was a pillage card that made it super easy to discard all the cards from the opponent's deck, and then if somehow they prevented you from doing the challenges to get the pillage triggers, you could still win with Corpse Lake, because it was it won in it discards cards in a pretty passive way. I can show you the card here. This is the current version, so we'll get a new one, I guess, for the next one. That will make it a little more difficult, yeah. But certainly should open up Greyjoy to some different decks in the future. I know we were guessing today at the beginning, or I was, if maybe there was half a chance it was the Round God deck, but in the end was the same as always. And I think Greyjoy and Stark are the two factions that definitely need to have some fresh decks coming up. So hopefully that happens with the next expansion. Alright, so I think that's all we have for you today. So congratulations again to Lukas, and thanks guys for joining me today.
Congrats, Lukas. Congrats, Radek, for a well-fought game and a great season of Champions of Westeros. And thanks for having me.
Thanks, Miha. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Alright, see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.